I started on this whole product review train, so I've got a pile of them that I'm just going to go through, and this is the next one on the list, which is the GEPRC Skip 3-inch, and it is a pretty close competitor to the N47 and the Diatone GTB 229, I believe. These are both, all of these have the HD things on board, and so it's not a direct competitor because the Skip is a 3-inch quad and the other two are 2.5-inch quads, and these two weigh 81 grams all-up weight and 90 grams all-up weight, which in my opinion is far too much for a 2.5-inch prop. When you do step up to a 3-inch prop, you actually get about 65% more surface area than just a 2.5. Just half an inch more gives you about 65% more surface area, if I did my math correctly. I hope I did. But if you look at the disc loading ratios, which is just the weight of the quad divided by the disc area of the quad, it's only about 4% better on the Skip 3-inch quad when you compare it to its weight, which is 112 grams all-up weight on 3S. So the disc loading doesn't give you the entire story, as no metric will, compared to the power to weight ratio. If you pair the power to weight ratio with the disc loading ratio, you can get a much better picture, and that's what I do on a lot of these things, is I try to get a better picture of how it might perform to try and gain some intuition about these things. But honestly, you're probably going to do better with just your plain old intuition if you've flown a lot of these things, and to tell how they're going to perform. And I, of course, because of all my testing of my own toothpick class quads, this is my own, which is it's 3-inch and it's 101 grams all-up weight. This is a new antenna that I've been working on. It's for Crossfire, and it's performing really fantastic. We're going to be testing it a little bit further, and then probably going to stock it at the store. So I'm really excited about that antenna. But this is 101 grams all-up weight, and the break point for 3-inch, in my opinion, is around 103, 104 grams. That's when you add each gram, and it starts losing performance pretty quickly. And so this is 112 grams all-up weight, which isn't awful, because with 3-inch, you do have a lot more leeway with how much weight you put on it. Well, let's go over the rest of this quad real quick before I talk about more flight performance characteristics. So the frame on this thing is 2.5 millimeter, and it feels pretty nice. It feels like a robust enough frame for the class of quad. The all-in-one board in there is their GEPRC board. It is a regular whoop style board with the USB port sticking up out of the board, which is facing down into this. They have a cutout here, you can clearly see that. And they have the Caddx baby turtle in here, which I really wish they went with a RunCam product. But this, again, is the second baby turtle out of the 5 or 6 now that five I think that I've received that actually works correctly. So maybe Caddx is getting better. However, sample size of 5 is not really very significant. So anyways, let's move on. The VTX in here is, I'm pretty sure 200 milliwatt, because it was giving me pretty darn good performance, and it's a nice little quad. The motors are 1105 5000 kV. In my opinion, I think that 12 is really the smallest size motor that should be run on even a 3-inch twin blade prop. The issue with the 11 size and a taller motor, taller stator, is that when you do give it throttle, it tends to want to race through the RPMs, so it's really hard to modulate things down low in the RPM range, and that is something that's exhibited by this quad, as well as the Twig from Eachine, the Twig copy, whatever, they called it a Twig, but it's just a copy of the Racer X Twig, whatever it is. And so the flight performance feel of the quad is really just that. It's not quite as locked in as it could be. It's not quite as under control as it could be. 13 size is even better than 12 size for that control range of the throttle throughout the entire throttle field, but that also impacts your control inputs as well. So you can tune this thing and get it a little bit better. You can't put a throttle curve on it, but why not just use a motor that actually performs the way it's supposed to on the prop that you want for the quad that you want. All that being said, this thing does perform pretty nicely, and if you take a look at the flight footage, you can see that it is head over heels improved compared to the Diatone and the Nameless RC product that are 2.5 inch quads. I don't know why they even bothered making them at 2.5 inches. I have tested these toothpick things a whole lot, and the reason I haven't even built an HD version myself, I've tested it, but I don't run one regularly, is because you can't run a lot of weight on a 2.5 inch. And the whole point of moving up to 3 inch is so that you had more payload headroom to put a real receiver in there, to put a real camera in there if you want, to put a real VTX in there, to get a DVR on board. I mean, we want these things, and so just make the quad a teensy bit bigger, and it does carry all this stuff nicely and perform a whole lot better. So this thing, oh yeah, another thing I forgot to point out that you probably noticed is that my props have no screws in them, and if I take the prop off, these motors have a 1.5 millimeter shaft in there, and yes, I am far too lazy to put the screws in, so I just, oh, well, there goes the prop. I just slammed these props on to this 1.5 millimeter teeny tiny little shaft, press fit, no problems, no props flying off, no issues at all. And so all the naysayers that say press fit doesn't work with 3-inch, I mean, I don't know how much more proof you want, but it works totally fine. Anyways, if I was to get one of these HT toothpick whatever quads, I would recommend this one over the other two, just because the flight performance is so much better. It's so much better. But I still don't like this quad entirely because it does have motors that are not to my personal liking. Maybe you like them. There is one advantage to these motors. You can fly for a longer period of time. It seems like you get longer flight times, but you do sacrifice quite a bit of control to get that longer flight time. And also the CATX Baby Turtle in there, I'm not a huge fan of. I do definitely prefer the RunCam product. Let's just leave it at that and continue on with everything. So floss your teeth, and yeah, I've got a lot more really interesting content coming. I'm just kind of waiting for things to get in stock in our store and other places and come out finally, so I actually make those content, I actually put those content up. Yeah, so stay tuned. Floss your teeth. Bye-bye.